Welcome along to episode 32 of the Endless Stream podcast, Suspicious Brians. I'm Aidan, and as usual I'm joined by Brian and Kevin. Each week we take some of the endless stream of content brought to you through Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your content. We take a chunk of it, we watch it, and we talk about it. We're in the middle of spooky season, gearing up towards Halloween. We are watching horror movies for the entire month of October, and we're on week 4. This week we're watching James Wan's Malignant and Gaspar Noes Climax, as well as talking about all the usual nerd news, trailers, video game nonsense, anything that happened in the world today, and just talking shit. As you know, we are 3 illustrators, artists, filmmakers, shit talkers all around. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast, giving us a rate and review on iTunes, listening to us on Spotify. Anything you can do to support the Endless Stream is greatly appreciated. For some additional content, head over to Instagram at The Endless Cast. You'll find illustrations that go with each episode, as well as clips and comments and conversations that are going on. So if you disagree with what we've said, if you've got a suggestion for something that we should watch, head over there and hold us to task. On top of that, you can send us a good old-fashioned email over at theendlesscast@gmail.com. All of that being said, let's get into this week's episode of The Endless Stream. Week 4 of our spooky Halloween season. We're still watching horror movies and being uncomfortable. I think the important news this week is that Greg and Karen got voted off of Strictly.
I thought we said we weren't going to do Strictly.
It's not like we didn't see it coming, but I think Karen has been unfairly saddled the last few years with the lame duck.
I accidentally almost blurted out Eternal spoilers when you said the biggest news this week. I almost said it as a joke. I was this close to saying.
Put in the Eternals.
No, just a bit of casting in the post mid credits.
Yeah. There's a post-credit scene that does something or other, and it's very immediately up on the internet. Like, people have got very
okay, I've not seen it.
Spoiler etiquette's gone to shit. Like,
let's not allude to it. Let's not talk about it. Let's move on. I don't want to give anybody anxiety who is listening to this podcast that might be looking forward to the Eternals, and that we're not going to spoil anything, because I would be devastated. It's 2 weeks from now, right?
2 weeks from now. Sorry, I gotta take a phone call.
Well, see, I'm not making any promises. I might accidentally blurt out because I'm full to the brim, Kev.
Full to the brim of what, right?
Secrets. I'm full of secrets.
Well, you can divulge another secret, not pertaining to the Eternals.
No, they're all spoilers.
Oh, they're all spoilers?
It's all spoilers.
It's all MCU spoilers?
All of it.
You have nothing that's not an MCU spoiler.
I'm brimming.
I'll give it the opportunity to offload a secret that's not MCU related, if you'd like.
No, none of those.
No,
none
of those.
No.
None of those. All right. Well, you're gonna have to continue brimming.
But you want some Eternals? Eternals?
No, thank you.
You sure?
Yes.
Just a little one.
No, thank you.
Just a tiny one.
No, thank you.
Just a taste.
Aiden's
sniff.
back. Aiden's
sniff.
back. No, that's...
Right. Fine.
I was surprised that Richard Madden turned out to be the villain in the Eternals. You know,
you don't even know who Richard Madden is.
No, well, he's the one with the silver arm that used to be friends with Captain America.
Anyways,
you know what I will say is that
that's Kit Harington, you idiot.
Oh,
twice.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay. Can you believe Sebastian Stan died at the wall?
Didn't see that.
And then fucked his auntie.
What?
Twice in the film, they talk about DC heroes. Somebody compares Icarus to Superman, and then later on they compare another character to Batman. It's like, that's weird. Can't do that. Can they do that? Is that allowed? Is that even allowed?
I think it's Marvel being like, we own you.
Yeah, this is our space.
Yeah. In our world, you're little comic books.
Yeah.
Although we are also comic books, but big comic books for big boys and girls.
I would suggest that it is a mischievous nod to the distinguished competition. a la Stan Soapbox.
A la
in the
Stan
60s.
Soapbox, yeah. Could be a little bit like that, yeah. Could be some jovial horseplay.
I always liked how simple a little piece of wordplay it was, turning DC into distinguished competition.
Very good. Never picked up on that.
Love Stan.
Been 30 years.
Shame about all the murders. I'm assuming you all talked a little bit about Eternals while I was on the.
No, we didn't.
the old,
No. Brian's
old,
brimming. Brian's
old,
brimming. He's overflowing. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage. Next topic.
There was a Batman trailer this week. Did you all watch it?
Yes, a bit more shooty bang bang than I thought the movie was going for. Like, in just regards to other trailers or other bits we've seen, it's a little bit more run-of-the-mill actiony looking than I thought. And I'm not, like, I'm up for Patterson, but I'm just a little bit wary of the emo Bruce Wayne.
I do think his hair is going to age like Harry Potter's hair in Goblet of Fire, where like everybody for some reason has like awkward growing out their hair phase.
It's not supposed to look good.
No? Well, it doesn't.
He doesn't have his Playboy persona invented yet. I think there's something going on in the trailer. They've hid so much. Still know nothing about the plot. There's so much hidden. Barry Keoghan is in this film.
Oh, yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is he playing Commissioner Gordon? Going by how they
the Watcher's playing Commissioner Gordon.
hid Colin Farrell behind all that makeup, I'm assuming anybody in that movie could be Barry Keoghan.
Brian obviously knows.
They haven't shown us Paul Dano's face. No, I have no idea. I know no spoilers about this. But they haven't shown Paul Dano's face at all.
Oh, interesting.
And they've gone to lengths to avoid showing it, like in the part where Batman goes to talk to
Someone
a prisoner.
behind glass.
Yeah, and the shutters raising up and they cut just before showing the face, and then when he's responding and he punches the glass, we don't know who he's talking to. And then the only time we've seen that other, wherever the serial killer character is, they're wearing the military cold weather mask. And we can't see their face. And then when they show us Paul Dano in the diner at the start, he's shot from behind and we don't see his face. So there's some misdirection going on there, I think.
I think Barry is going to be Robin.
I think Barry Keoghan could be behind the mask.
I think he's going to be Robin.
He lobbied to be Robin, I think, at one point.
They better not do that shit again. Just have some random cop, because he in the credits he's playing a cop. Apparently, he's Gordon's partner according to the credits that are available, like on.
And if
IMDb.
Paul Dano isn't the Riddler, who is Paul Dano? Because he's a great actor. It'd be a shame to see him not portray somebody really cool.
He's Bruce's brother, and that's why they've got the bad hair. They both have bad hair. That's what I think.
And who's Bruce's brother? Is that Talons or something like that? Or
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know.
Say that again. Who's Bruce's brother?
Paul Dano.
That was a Scott Snyder book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Greg
Yep.
Capullo art.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Court of Owls stuff
Court of Owls, that's it, yeah.
has really taken root in the Batman universe. It's creeping into everything, the video games and the movies, and it's a great
Arc.
invention or arc. I think I kind of disconnected with it when the scale of it got as huge as it did.
Yeah, it's
Like,
good at
I
the
liked-
start, and then it became massive. It lost a lot of the edge when they put it everywhere. But that first couple of issues with that story is great. It's very good.
Yeah, I mean the idea that it's a creepy little like secret society amongst the elite of Gotham, with a bit of a history, and that they've got this like golem like super soldier of their own that they put out into the world to cause chaos. Like, that was cool. Like, it was this weird, scary, Wicker Man-y, hereditary kind of like local weirdness that you could wander into. But later on, it's like there's underground caverns filled with Talon armies, and like it's just got too fucking big. Like I don't
As
know.
most comics
there's
do.
a real issue. There's a real issue with scale.
That's
Yeah.
comics, though.
Yeah.
You take comics is just take what you like from them, and that's it.
I mean, even I keep having this fucking reaction. Maybe I'm just, just getting old and jaded. But like, just everything needs to fucking take a step back and calm down a minute and let us appreciate the small.
You're not getting old and jaded, man. That was like that was my opinion 15 years ago. It's kind of one of the reasons why I moved away from Marvel and kind of focused more on the likes of Dark Horse and Image and Boom and stuff. I don't think I was just saying I don't think it's a sign of your age. It's an issue in the comics. You just have to pick what you like. That's literally it.
But even the like the new trailer for the new Doctor Who thing, it's just trying to make it seem epic and galaxy spanning and huge and huge and huge. And it's like scale has not been the issue with Doctor Who for the last few seasons. It's the fact that we're not connecting to these characters in very simple ways. We are not giving a shit about the Doctor, whether it was Peter Capaldi or whether it's Jodie Whittaker. Just trying to put the entire universe or the multiverse or the timelines, putting all of these concepts in jeopardy are so disconnected from simple humanity, There's nothing wrong with like intentionally going, hey, maybe we need half the budget this year and do something a little smaller rather than... And there's still a shot in that fucking Doctor Who trailer where Jodie Whittaker is flying through the air with like an explosion or a time portal going on. But she's spinning around her waist in a very like I'm in a harness and I've initiated a flip kind of thing. It looks terrible. I'm surprised that it made it in. That sort of stilted rotation everybody does when they're stuck into one of those.
It's kind of like
harnesses.
from around the hips, and you just kind of do a
yeah.
Or like in the Batman trailer when the explosion goes off and he's clearly being pulled backwards and his cape is dragging in the opposite direction, even though there's an explosion going off in front of him.
He's been pulled backwards.
He's been pulled backwards.
Backwards?
He's been pulled backwards.
Why is he being pulled?
By a harness.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an explosion in front of him. So he's
Right.
supposed to be pushed back.
Yeah.
But he's being pulled, obviously. And his cape is dragging forward, but it just, it's like if that was an explosion.
Yeah, the cape should be. I see what you're saying.
And it looks floaty and weird. He looks too still. It just looks like he's got his arms and legs out in front of him and he's just being pulled backwards on a harness. And it just looks, it's weird how, how wrong it looked, but it made it into 2 trailers so far.
It's funny when we're jumping across a number of topics and we haven't even gotten to like how you got beaten up by Joe Manganiello yet. But like, I went to see Dune and there's still a shot
Lies
at the end of Dune where I'm like, that doesn't look good. How did that make it in here?
It also really bothered me towards the end of Dune, where it's a considerable section of it was shot at daytime, and then they put a lot of effects on it to make it look like nighttime, and it is excessively dark, and it's a good chunk of the end of the film where we know for a fact it was shot during the day because the shots are in the trailer and they're daytime shots, but then they shot it day for night basically, and I found it very distracting. Do you notice that?
Interesting. No? I didn't know because like I think as well I saw it in the IMAX thing though. I guess the bit that was lit up that I'm supposed to be paying attention to was the size of a regular cinema screen. So I was like, oh yep, there it is. I didn't. No,
it's very tight. If you watch the first trailer again, there's shots in there from the end of the film, and they're in daytime. So they basically just put a lot of filters and effects to make the look dark. And it's like, I'm not buying this, and I was just waiting for it to end. But it was a good chunk of the end of the film. It's like, so murky.
Okay, let's go back a little step here. Batman trailer looks good. Looking forward to it. March 22nd. I'm getting a little frustrated with movies that I'm like, I know this is on the fucking shelf. Just release the fucking thing and let me see it. Yeah. Black Adam. Did you see the Black Adam teaser?
Yes.
Yeah, but The Rock sucks. So who gives
I heard The Rock's rap. It's pretty good.
I mean, it's great. The guy can't fail. Guy can't miss.
How do I boot a person from a call? Just
I like
unrelated.
the aggressive tone in his voice. and the fire in his lyrics.
You like dog shit, buddy.
The guy is pure passion.
A lot of people worked hard on that, Brian. You shouldn't dismiss it so quickly.
No, they didn't at all. No one worked hard on that. It's garbage.
I want to like
The Rock is garbage.
the Black Adam movie, but I think this character's in a weird place because I think
Because it's The Rock.
The Rock
and it's
is
stupid.
just seeing the hero potential of this character. So like he's entering into this like I'm a big bad villain kind of thing, knowing that this character gets kind of redeemed and becomes a sort of anti-hero. He ends up helping in the comics as much
Can
as
I
he
ask? Like, I know obviously Guardians of the Galaxy a bit of a risk for Marvel in terms of not being the most well known. I think it's fair to say Shang-Chi, not the most popular comic book character either. And that's not going against these characters. But what I was going to say is Black Adam. Like, big in DC. I'm not the biggest DC fan, but like I would have thought there was kind of like potential for The Rock to play other characters or anti-heroes or whatever, because apparently he picked Black Adam out. He had full choice of the toy box. That's the old rumor mill going around there.
He's got Superman powers, so it's a way for The Rock to be Superman.
Yeah.
And it's The Rock.
And
So
yeah, he thinks he can push this character to the forefront of the cinematic universe through the weight of his own notoriety.
Gravitas.
And it helps that he's as
Gravitas.
powered or overpowered.
It's a great word.
Who else would he play though? Like, who would you have him play? They have a Superman, they have a Batman, they have an Aquaman. I will not fall for that.
I think he'd do great at it.
What did you say, Brian?
Aidan said, who should he play? Who would you like to see him play? And
Yes.
I said both of these.
Yes. Okay. Very good.
From mythology, from mythology.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah.
That hero.
Everybody's moving on.
What was his
of these.
weakness?
Tickles.
That's gross.
How was that gross?
That was getting kicked in. But it is gross.
So Shazam: Fury of the Gods has got to come out, and that's obviously got a post credits in some way with The Rock, because they've set up the fact that there's an empty chair on their pantheon where Black Adam should sit. So
is Black Adam also a child in a superhero's body?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. But Black Adam was Shazam's nemesis in the comics, right?
He was a chosen champion by Shazam that was a mistake and went wrong and had to be banished, and gets freed at one point and fights Shazam. So he's the anti-Shazam.
Anti-Shazam, who is just also Superman.
Yeah, for some reason he has pointy ears in the books. I don't know why that became a thing.
I think just to make them a little bit more different.
Little Namor ears.
They're the same costume and everything for a while in the comics.
Yeah.
Who else could The Rock played? I'm trying
No
to
one,
think,
because he sucks.
Hawkman?
Hawkman? Yeah, maybe.
Hawkman's going to be in this film, though. So
Oh yeah, it's Hawkgirl is going to be in it.
They
I
have
think.
concept.
Hawkman's
stuff.
going to be in it.
I wonder if they'll like the Hawk narrative or continuity is so fucking weird as well. They're either aliens or ancient reincarnating Egyptians.
I think they're going with the Egyptian route.
Well, that would tie to the Black Adam thing.
Yeah.
It's a weird fucking... DC is a weird continuity in general, based on the fact that they are a collection of acquired publishing houses that all got folded in on top of each other. So as smaller comic companies went out of business, DC bought their libraries. So there's rules that are set up in one comic book's universe that like a character who's now in a universe with Superman or Batman has to adhere to. Do you know what I'm saying
Yes,
there?
yeah.
So you've got like slightly contradictory worlds sitting on top of each other, as opposed to Marvel, who, you know, built their world
And it's all
in kind of one swing, bearing in mind other things, you know. So like, you know, the most powerful being in the universe was Superman, but then it was Shazam also, and they merged those two worlds together, and they had to deal with the fact that these two things exist in the same continuity now. DC is a weird stew. Everything's a stew to me today. I think I'm hungry.
Did you have breakfast?
I did. Eggies and bacon.
Ooh, eggies and bacon.
Bacon and eggies. For the anti-Donna fans. Flash trailer as well. Are you excited for the Flash? That's been going...
No, not particularly.
Are you excited to see Michael Keaton?
Yes, I guess so. But like, I feel like kind of is that putting a lot of weight then on him in the show or in the movie? You know, like is he going to have that much of a presence where he's going to carry the whole thing? Like, is it more of a cameo?
I think Affleck's going to have a cameo, and I think Keaton's part will be a bit more significant. It'll be more related to the plot. But then Affleck's just going to show up as a little goodbye to Batman.
Do you think they'll bring him back though, if it's successful? Or do you think Pattinson's Batman is it?
No. I think Pattinson will get one or two more films, and then we'll get something else again.
I saw something and it said basically that you know, kind of superhero movies, if they're good, whatever. But it's like, but like if a Batman movie's good, it's like better than any superhero movie. Like it kind of like if they do a good Batman movie, it's kind of like a bigger thing than doing a good like Shazam movie or a good like Shang-Chi movie or whatever you want to say. You know what I mean? Like, and I get what they're saying.
Yeah. What whoever made this argument? What are you talking about? We've got
Exactly.
the Burton era. We've got the Nolan era, and we've got not Batman movies from Snyder. So we're really talking about two big swings here.
And I think in regards to those two big swings, the Nolan movies...
We're just ignoring Joel Schumacher, are we? That didn't happen.
Well, I consider that part of the Burton era. You know, it was the first sort of continuous... those four movies are all lumped together in my head.
But even saying like...
But I don't want to talk about Schumacher.
but even saying like kind of... you can like if you make a good Batman movie, it kind of trumps all over superhero stuff. Like kind of like if you make a good Batman movie, it's going to be super successful or it's going to be really really good or whatever they're trying to say. I forgot how they articulated it, but I'm trying to think like okay, the Tim Burton ones are fun, like they're good. I'm not going to say anything about them. They're fine. They're good kind of movies. The Nolan ones, first one's alright, second one's really really good, third one's a bit poo. It's like
that is the general consensus. I enjoy the third one.
First one's great.
First one seems
Second
a little small. It feels a little sound stagey.
Yeah,
but it's good. It's great. I've watched it more than the second one.
I disagree.
You don't think it feels sound stagey
at all?
Okay,
you're wrong.
Brian, we talked about this before.
I mean,
before we went on the podcast, we're allowed to express our.
No, he's wrong.
If it's safe space,
he's wrong though.
He's wrong space, though. Brian.
It's mostly shot on location.
Where in fucking Gotham, you idiot! It's a fictional
places.
city.
In places.
Brian, you just made yourself look stupid. Gotham isn't real.
You can't just say a thing, Kevin. Just wish it's true. You can't just say I look stupid because
I think that's projection.
It's not how it works.
I think that's projection.
Yeah, it is. That's what I just said. That's what you're doing.
From you. I'm not projecting anything. It's dreams.
But
and kisses.
I said it feels sound stagey.
I said you're wrong.
Why do you hate happiness,
Okay.
Hayden? See, Brian manipulated me. But
first one is great, and this new one looks like it's borrowing a lot from it. Quite a lot.
Okie dokie.
Second one is better only because of Ledger's Joker.
Okay.
That's it. That's all it's got on it. Third one is a big pile of shit.
What's your favorite Batman movie, Brian? Because you're I would consider you a pretty big Batman fan.
It's either Begins or The Dark Knight.
Okay, fair. Aiden?
Burton's ones didn't age well.
No,
First
I don't
Batman
think so.
89. Batman 89 is boring. It's fucking boring. And I saw it as early as you did, Aiden, if not earlier. I have every reason for it to have a really warm place in my heart, but I watched it a couple of times and it's fucking dull. It's boring. It's the Joker movie. Batman kind of shows up in it. It's fucking boring. Batman Returns is fun, but not great as a film. It's a fun film, and I can see why people love it. I can see why it's people's favorites. I like a lot of it, but it's a very flawed movie. It's a weird movie. It's a very weird movie. They're not great.
The question is, what is your favorite Batman movie?
I just said it's Begins or The Dark Knight. It's one of those two. I don't know, but it's not Burton because they suck.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say Batman 89. I've just got a soft spot for it. It's thrilling from beginning to end.
Yeah, that's totally understandable.
The Joker's performance, the music by Prince, it's a whole experience.
I would say the Joker's part isn't
You
big
got to
enough,
try harder
but-
than that. I mean, that's weak.
But okay, it's not a movie, but I think one of the best Batmans for me is always going to be Bruce Timm's. Gotta say,
That's a drawing. It's not a movie.
no, I said it's not a movie, but
Mask of
It's
the
a
Phantasm.
drawing.
yeah, Master Phantasm. My dad loves that. Yes, Brian. Batman started out as a drawing, believe it or not. What a fucking noob.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. We've had enough aggressively wrong Batman thoughts today.
Flash. Is it going to be good? I don't know. If it's a little bit of a departure from the Snyder stuff, I might be a little bit more looking forward to it. But I did not like Flash and the Snyder stuff.
I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to. I don't know. I want to see what they do with Burton, because they did this like kind of multi-universe thing on the CW shows, and they like booted out to an old Bruce Wayne played by Kevin Conroy, and it was just a fucking painful thing to watch. Like they were kind of doing a sort of Kingdom Come thing where he was wearing the like exoskeleton because he's got so many years of damage, and it was not good. And if that's the extent of the Keaton cameo, I'll be really disappointed. I also am sick to fuck of Flash fucking with time.
Yeah, but this is like the first time we're seeing it live action, right?
They've 6 seasons of a TV show where they've been over all of this.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
7
right.
seasons of a TV series.
But that's on you for watching the TV show. Like,
It's just been covered. It's to say it's like X-Men fucking time travel. I just don't like time travel. They did it right with Back to the Future, and that's it. Let's move on. No
they
more
didn't.
time travel. What do you mean?
well, they didn't. They
do you
didn't
mean?
do it right.
Are you saying you don't like Back to the Future?
No, I'm saying they didn't do time travel right.
What would you have them done different? What's the problem with the time travel in Back to the Future?
It's nonsense. Oh, my future's changing, so this photo is going to slowly, like, rather than the photo just disintegrating, details in the photo change. This is fucking silly. Get the fuck out of here. That's some It's a Wonderful Life fucking magic shit. It's not time travel.
Yeah, they did time travel right.
No, that's magic.
Also,
It's
I'm now looking
magic.
at the sets in which they shot Batman Begins.
You mean League of Shadows? That's like one
What?
of the only sets. And the cave. That's about it. Everything else is locations.
I know there are a lot of locations. I don't deny there are a lot of locations. I do know that they shot some stuff inside.
This is,
and it
of
feels
course they
small.
did, yeah, because they shot it inside. This is very
It
petty.
feels small!
This is very petty of you, I just want to say. To say, oh, let's change the subject, but in the background, I'm just going to look up some locations because I want to bring it back up. It's very small. It's very small. That's fucking...
Some fucking bollocks you are.
That's some SDE bullshit.
Sizable dick energy?
You wish.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I saw what you did there.
Picture will be on the Instagram account.
Didn't we get a... of what?
The locations. Get your mind out of the
Okay.
gutter.
What the... So yeah, so we got Black Adam, we got Batman, we got... that looks very soundstagey, doesn't it?
One of those is an outdoor location, you fucking pleb.
Coming from the guy who didn't know Batman started as a drawing. Excuse me.
What that is the exterior of the soundstage to show us the scale of the building in which they shot.
Of the Narrows fucking huge set that they built. Jesus Christ. I mean...
Anyways,
Soundstage.
Brian, people are allowed to have different opinions, please.
No, they're not. Not when they're wrong.
Please, Brian. No, it's a subjective opinion about something that
No.
doesn't matter, Brian.
No.
None of it matters. It's a nerd podcast.
No.
What did you make of that Bebop clip? The 2-minute...
I can't really comment on it.
Kevin, stop farting.
That's Brian. That's Brian.
Brian, what did you think of the Cowboy Bebop clip?
Looks like garbage.
Throwing the
It looks-
frame around the place?
It looks like some Speed Racer shit. Which is fine when I'm watching Speed Racer. But it feels like they watched Speed Racer and said, hey, let's do that with Cowboy Bebop. No.
Do you think that whole playing
All
around
wrong.
the frame is going to be in the show? Because
I hope
I
not.
hope not. That's really jarring, and the acting's really stiff. But when they kind of try to do that, you know.
It's not good. Bebop is back on Netflix, though. So just watch that instead.
All right. Okay. I might do.
That's a great piece of advice for the listener. Have you seen Cowboy Bebop?
No.
Kev?
Just watch that.
Ada, you look upset.
I'm already halfway through it again.
I'm not upset. If you're so inclined, it's a
You
cool
have
one,
to
and
watch it,
I-
Kev. It's so good.
Okay.
You're so lucky.
You've oversold.
You're so lucky.
I
It's one
think
of the best animes of all time.
I think the
And that's not overselling it.
I think the live action clip I saw, like, if it's a fun show and I enjoy it, I don't care. I don't care how cheesy it is. I don't care how like it's not true to the anime because
You care when Speed Racer was too cheesy. So that's a lie, objectively now.
no,
You're lying.
I never said
You
Speed
care
Racer
when
was too
stuff-
cheesy.
I'm pretty sure we recorded the conversation so we can go back and listen.
Someone can do that. And if I'm wrong, I stand corrected. However, I'm saying sometimes it being too cheesy isn't going to be an issue. If I'm enamored with the characters and all that kind of stuff, I'll accept a little bit of excessive cheese. But
There's a lot of silly in the anime.
yeah, I mean, like, all I'm saying is, like, I'm not going to dismiss the show just yet because I've not seen the anime, and quite often what works on paper and animation, comics, whatever, doesn't necessarily translate to live action. So you got to kind of give it that.
But that's why it's not going to work, is that they're trying to...
Too hard.
They're trying to recreate it visually without capturing any of the atmosphere or vibe of the show. So they're taking all the elements that won't work, basically, and trying to recreate those rather than capture the spirit of the show.
I hope it's just a lot of goofy shit for promo stuff. Like, but the thing is, there's so much in that 2-minute thing that it's like they didn't shoot this solely for the ad, right?
They did.
They shot that
They
solely
did,
for the
yeah.
ad.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe the tone is better than that because that was some goofy bring an audience in shit.
There's some nice looking shots in there as well.
Yeah.
Like the set of the Bebop looked decent enough in one shot.
Right, yeah.
In other shots, it looks a bit set bound, but
Yeah.
yeah.
You should see the size of the hangar they shot it in.
Was it like the Narrows?
Should the
was it?
swordfish?
The
Should
big-
the swordfish
was it?
be sitting out on the deck of the Bebop? That seemed a bit weird.
No, that always is.
Yeah, while it's in space.
Yeah, it's
I always
tied
thought of
down.
it as sort of like contained.
It's tied down.
It's a bit weird.
I hope
Looks
it's,
a bit like just
I hope it's a
me.
success for the actors involved because I like them.
all right, fucking fence sitter.
I have to sit on the fence because I've not seen Cowboy Bebop and I've not seen the live action show. Judging from the trailer, I think aspects of it are fun, but I hope they just don't do that frame thing in it constantly because that'd be very jarring.
Yeah, that would be very fucking annoying, is what it would be.
Uncharted.
I never played those games. Are they anything like the Tomb Raider game?
Brian played them. he's a fan. Brian, it's like your year. You're getting Batman, you're getting Uncharted, you're getting Cowboy Bebop. Could be great.
2 of those things are coming out next year.
Yeah, a year from today is what I meant.
Tom Holland looked well in the lead of that, right?
He did.
Looks a bit short, but
That's fine. No one has an issue with that here.
I do. I hate short people.
He can say that because he's short.
Short people have no reason to live.
Yeah, because normally the best stuff is on the top shelf. Am I right?
Well, I mean, Randy Newman said it in his song, and he wouldn't lie.
Yeah, Uncharted, Mark Wahlberg.
I liked the first 2 games. The other games were kind of didn't like the
just
third
repetition.
and fourth. Not even just not good. Didn't like them.
Oh.
There was a kind of a shorter spin-off game with 2 of the female characters that was better.
What was that called?
Lost Legacy.
Probably Uncharted something.
Uncharted Lost Legacy, I think. That was nice. But third and fourth game didn't like. Yeah, it could be a fun film. We'll see.
It's one of these ones that's like production held long enough that like I just can't see it being anything other than just like
National Treasure.
boring. But
National Treasure's
National
great.
Treasure's great.
So, I mean, that's all it has to do is copy National Treasure, and you 2 knuckleheads will love it.
I've never been called a knucklehead. I'm going to take that as a compliment. Yeah.
Yeah, Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. Here we are.
Knuckleheads. That'd be great. That's going to be our spin-off podcast. That would be far more...
Without me, what?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because we're going to be positive and happy, and people are going to enjoy listening
People
to us.
don't want that.
Listening to some
No
old
one
man
wants that. That's a terrible idea.
give out about everything.
Terrible idea. Your ideas are bad. You should feel bad.
Yeah. I'm just going to do Knucklehead podcast. You're the worst.
That's hurtful, Kev. It's not very positive.
Shut the fuck up, Brian.
You're a fraud. You're a fraud. I'll expose you.
Yes. What else was there this week?
I guess. I mean, like we've touched on the nerd news stuff.
Wasn't there?
Being the Ricardos was a trailer on Amazon Prime.
Shut up about that bullshit. Aaron Sorkin can fucking...
What's the
do
matter,
one.
you? I like Aaron Sorkin.
He sucks.
I don't know. I
sucks.
don't know what you're talking about. I feel like there was a trailer for something else. Well, yeah, you did send that Clint Eastwood's son is a Scott Eastwood and Mel Gibson.
What a
Yeah,
load of shit.
I kind of sent that
Gibson
taking the piss
can
though. Like
do one.
that's just gonna be a fucking like I don't know a run like it'll be a distracting Friday
It's
night.
straight to video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a B movie thing. It looks like it's kind of like a Gibson's kind of looks like he's doing an Alan Arkin in Grosse Pointe Blank thing where it's like a violent person phoning a therapist. You know,
It looks
he's barely-
nothing like that. Gibson looks
Doesn't
like
it?
an angry badger. That is how dare you? How dare
He
you
does.
associate him with Arkin?
I'm not saying that
The
he's as good
gentlest
as
soul compared to that angry badger.
It looks like a person with violent
Bigot
tendencies
badger.
who's been seeing a therapist called his therapist throughout the movie. So it's like an easy one for Mel to shoot. He just sits in an office, has 3 phone calls. That's his movie.
What's with
And
him
they get
being
on with it.
cast in the Continental? That's weird. It's weird that they would put his dirt
That makes perfect
associated
sense.
to something with Keanu Reeves.
Gibson works. Gibson's just like he's got 12 projects in development, or he's a dozen things going. He's fine.
Yeah, but he's toxic.
Well,
Nobody gives a
not
shit.
that he's fine, but he's working, and
He's
just
toxic.
He's going to be around.
He hasn't apologized properly for the shit he said or did. It's fucking weird that they're like, hey, yeah, let's put him in this fucking John Wick spin-off. That's weird.
That's a TV show, right?
Yeah.
Mel's doing television.
Yeah.
God, how far he has fallen.
Yeah, part of it is unfortunately his own undoing.
It's his own fault. Yeah. The other person who
Not according to Randy Quaid.
What did Randy Quaid? Oh,
what
Randy Quaid.
what does Randy Quaid say?
According to Randy Quaid, it's people out to get people in Hollywood, and they slip him Mickeys, as he puts it. And the more you listen to him, the more it starts to sound like
Start to make
there's some
sense.
truth in there.
I think we have to recast Brian. I think we did
Why?
recast Brian. If you're listening,
People
to
are
Randy
interested in this
Quaid.
stuff.
Slipping Mickeys.
You
what
mean
does
you
that mean?
don't? Spiking them or drugging them, yeah.
Okay, because Randy Quaid had did some strange videos in the past with his girlfriend wearing a mask.
It's just, yeah.
Who was
'Cause
the mask off?
He was slipped
I
in.
mean, that's half a TikTok now, isn't it?
Exactly. He was ahead of his time.
He was ahead of his time. He's like two-turned Tony.
Do you
Randy
think
Quaid invented TikTok.
who do you think is the more problematic Quaid brother, Randy or Dennis?
Dennis.
Dennis, because you don't know what he's up to.
True.
I was going to bounce off of... I was using the dot connect of Mel Gibson in a very clunky, laborious way to get us to Alec Baldwin, who also had PR issues around the same time as Gibson, and get us to the events on the set of Rust that happened yesterday, where Alec Baldwin fired a prop gun, believing it to be safe. We assume, I guess.
I don't think there's
a lot of questions.
prop guns. A prop gun is like a fake gun that doesn't fire. So it was
Sure.
a real gun with a real bullet. It was supposed to have either a blank or a dummy, but it had a live bullet. So
He
this
believed
idea-
it to be a weapon that was made safe for shooting.
Yeah.
For film shooting.
Yeah, but a prop gun is like something that's in a holster,
plastic, I get you.
plastic or yeah. So it's a real gun. It's as dangerous as any gun, and that's the issue: is that somebody didn't clear it as such. They treated it like they didn't treat it as seriously as it should be treated, basically. And then somehow a live cartridge, a real bullet, ended up in his hands.
It's
That's
terrible. It's terrible, but it's
baffling.
like when I picture it, like kind of this going down in my head, it's kind of like, now this sounds ridiculous, but it's like, I kind of just feel like Alec Baldwin just went to a table full of props and was just like, oh, this is cool, picked up the gun, oh wow, and then bang, and shot somebody. But like obviously it could have been during filming, it could have been like prepping for a seat, you know what I mean? Like I just assumed that
It was while shooting.
yeah, it was while
was
I
shooting
assume it
on
was
scene,
while
yeah.
shooting. Yeah, I said it to somebody yesterday. I assume it was while shooting, and it's just it went really, really wrong. But it's like
Or while filming, because that'd be confusing.
Yeah.
while filming. But
The
it's so like you know, kind of I would, you know, talking to you guys and talking to friends and stuff about it. It's just kind of like it's just really fucking tragic.
But it's going to be interesting to see what details come out about this, because there should never have been a live round on the set. The protocols in place, like I don't want to phrase this in any way that starts to assign blame to anybody anywhere, but the amount of things that had to fall down,
Yeah, exactly.
that should be in place on a well-run, safely organized set, the amount of things that had to go wrong for a live bullet to get into a working firearm, into a actor's hand, in front of a camera pointed at
And
two human beings,
and being
it's
directed to then fire
mind-boggling.
that gun.
Yeah,
You know?
it's mind-boggling that this happened. It like I just mean in the sense that like there's definitely some fucking mid-20th century Sam Peckinpah Western bullshit where people were doing trick shots with live rounds on set for stuff, and there's definitely stuff that's going on. You just imagine in the world of filmmaking at this point that there's so much emphasis placed on safety that this shouldn't fucking
Well, you see,
But
the thing, it doesn't happen.
You-
You know.
Even filming aside, like before you've any of the protocols in place for that, just even anybody handling weapons would usually clear a weapon. Like they would check it. They pick something up, they check it, they see
Yeah.
what ammunition's in there. Is the rounds in it? So even before any of the safety protocols for a film, anything to do with pyrotechnics or any sort of effect, any safety regulation they've got in place there. Just the fact that there was a weapon and it was somebody's job to handle weapons. Even the film part aside, there was somebody experienced with firearms, picked the thing up and didn't clear it for
I grew up
for
around
ammunition,
guns.
you know?
I grew up around guns. I've been shooting with my pops and stuff like that. Like gun safety is huge. You know, like how you carry the gun. It's like you never, like, even if the gun is completely empty and you know it's empty and stuff, you don't point that fucking gun at somebody because that's not funny. You know, that kind of way. Obviously this is a movie, they were shooting something, people are in position, all that kind of stuff. God knows what happened. But like I was just gonna say, like, without even like realistically being, anybody who's around guns, or if somebody has guns and they take guns seriously, like they know how to fucking operate around guns for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, my dad had them. It was his responsibility to make sure we knew about gun safety. You know, but it's just what I'm trying to say. It's just like even not pertaining to the movie industry, gun safety is a big deal. You know, people.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like you think people on a movie set who you have gun experts and people who had those guns. I think it's a Western, so there are probably antique guns to a degree. You know, if it's
it was a revolver.
Yeah,
it was a single action revolver. Yes. Yeah, so like to fire it, you'd have to pull the hammer each time to shoot it.
When you first hear this, you like I don't know what the actual story was even on the Crow, but your mind throws back to how Brandon Lee got killed. There was a number of different.
On the Crow, it was a gun that had basically
detritus in the barrel, wasn't it?
It had fired. I don't know which first, but it had fired either dummies first and then blanks, or had fired blanks. I guess it would have to be a dummy first and then a blank. A blank is gunpowder, but no projectile, and a dummy then is it shoots like wads of paper. So it was the combination. It had been used to fire a dummy, and then it was loaded with blanks, and then the blank effectively is firing gunpowder.
Propelled.
Yeah.
Propelled something that was lodged in the barrel. So that's what my head goes to first, going, well, there's no way that something as silly as a live round actually got on the set. Yeah. So some weird shit like this must have happened. The fact, like...
It's probably an antique gun.
A live round, not 2 live rounds? I don't know that it's an antique gun. They still make those revolvers. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's...
It's interesting that
there's...
It's interesting that they were, like, up until last week, they were this close to striking because of working conditions where people were working like 18-hour days, weren't eating, weren't sleeping, they had no accommodation, no places to stay and stuff like that. So they were complaining about poor working conditions.
And that's shit that's all union regulated.
Yeah, it's heavy.
So I don't know where they shot this. Yeah. New Mexico?
So it's very strange that just a week later, after them kind of coming to some sort of agreement to not strike, that something like this has happened, and it's falling on. It's someone's responsibility within one of those,
Producer.
So Baldwin's the producer on this thing, and I'm sure there are other financiers, producers, people who are legally responsible. Do you think, how much of any of this do you think ends up landing at Baldwin's feet? Like,
None of
the emotional weight and the trauma that he's going to have to carry after this, because whatever you may think about the guy, I don't think he intended to fucking kill anybody. So he's got to carry that with him now the rest of his life, which is...
I would say he definitely didn't intend to kill anybody.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You never know. I mean, I've seen a few movies. I've seen a couple of episodes of Columbo.
Movies.
Columbo. How much of any of the response or the fallout lands at his feet financially? Does it affect his career? Does this movie get finished?
Well, I mean, Mel Gibson's been cast in The Continental, so I would say, in terms, I would say the worst aspect of this is the fact that he's killed someone. Financially, career-wise, I don't think he has to worry. I think if anything, he'll have a lot of sympathy.
Like,
the worst
to be
part
honest,
of this is having that in his conscience.
I was going to say, like, to be honest, like he, like, you don't know, like they could have settled their disputes and things on the set could have gone better, and this was just really unfortunate that it happened, and it's a coincidence that they had issues on the set, whatever, I don't know, but it's just like at the end of the day, like, he's not, like, it's a pretty fucked up scenario to go through, and like it's sad, and someone, like, obviously the family of the woman who was killed deserves sympathy, and people on the set, I'm sure, are traumatized for it, but like he must be feeling like fucking shit. So, I feel sorry for the guy.
Oh, yeah, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah, it's got to be brutal.
Is it one of those, like, I don't know, like, is it one of these things where, like, he does a lot of comedy work? Do you watch him in a movie and find him funny ever again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
There are a few people where it's like, once you see the darkness in them or the damage associated with them, it's hard to find them funny,
Yeah, but this is an accident, presumably, that he was a part of.
Like, if
I love that we keep going, presumably.
If Mark Wahlberg can do comedy,
Yeah, I was thinking about the violence, like he's got that assault
horrendous
on his record.
He blinded somebody.
Yeah. And I was watching Ted during the week, and there's a couple of moments in Ted where he like a guy charges him at a stage, and he picks up a mic stand and just bats him in the face, and the guy goes over the edge of it, and I'm like, I don't know. I know I've seen Wahlberg do action movies, but something about the cold human violence in those things, and I was just like, oh shit.
That's why I
so
didn't
weird.
find it funny when Sandberg did a bit on SNL, and then he appeared later saying that, you know, I'd like to break that fucking kid's nose. And people are like, oh, he's joking. And it's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's funny for this guy to joke about
having aggression.
If he is joking, having that type of fucking problem. He's playing off a tough guy persona, which I fucking don't buy for a second. He's just a fucking little aggro merchant.
Yeah, I think so.
He's just an angry little man. But yeah, it's not funny when somebody who's blinded somebody makes jokes about
violence.
Yeah,
you should try to kind of step away from that.
That shouldn't be territory that you go near.
Yeah.
Made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, there's a moment in Ted where a child runs at him, you know, angrily, and he punches the kid in the face, and the kid goes down, and I'm like, yeah, that would blind a person.
Yeah, he is tiny. He's 5'8".
Yeah, he's a small man. That's right, Kev. Up here.
Yeah.
They can't reach.
We're tall. No, I'm saying we're taller than him.
Yeah.
High five, Kev.
Oh, I thought you...
High five. We're 5'9".
My high five is higher than yours.
I'd still dunk on you, and you fucking know it.
Dunk on me?
Yeah.
Can you dunk?
No, I said dunk on you.
I got short guy energy.
You do.
Comic books. Kevin, you were reading Clear by Francis Manapul and Scott Snyder.
Yep, it's kind of Francis Manapul's first, I think, kind of creator-owned book, he's saying. Co-creator-owned, I guess. It's on Comixology. I don't believe there's any floppies out there. It might be collected to a graphic novel at some stage. Aiden.
Any what?
Floppies.
There's no floppies out here.
Explain yourself.
Floppies, there's no floppies, it's digital. Floppies are what you call your weeklies.
No.
Anyways.
I don't have a weekly floppy.
You don't have a weekly floppy? Jeez.
No.
I have probably daily. Like right now. But, yeah, I don't think there's going to be...
Was that a dick joke? Are we talking about dicks?
Yes.
Explain it. I didn't get it.
Flaccid,
Is that what that is?
Flaccid penises and flaccid combos.
Cool.
This is a digital combo.
God, I wish Brian was wearing
Descended
trousers. Oh, that's just hairy legs.
Oh, God.
So what's Clear
His
about?
bum looks bigger. Clear...
Brian, would you please sit down and stop pointing that at us?
I'm looking for a book on the shelf.
Don't be low. Don't be point that thing.
You don't have to look.
Anyways.
When I'm not talking, I'm not on screen, so...
No. You are.
You're
That's on
screen
you.
constantly.
Yeah.
That's a different app, isn't it? I don't know. Francis Manapul and Scott Snyder have this book out now called Clear. It's on Comixology. It's actually a really cool premise. I think it's very Black Mirror-ish. It could have been in Black Mirror for all I know. I don't know. I can't remember stuff. But basically, the idea is it's future America. Everybody has things called, or this thing called a veil have kind of caught on. It took a little bit longer for it to catch on America, but it was big in Europe and the rest of the world, and then eventually it's big in America. And veils are essentially looking at the world through a filter. So you get it, like, I don't know if it's injecting your brain or something like that, but like people can choose what veil they see the world in. So you could live in a kind of like Victorian England veil, or cowboy veil, or 80s New York veil. You know what I mean? It's wherever you want the world to look like, you see the world through that filter. So everybody will be wearing like clothes of that time or period or whatever. And obviously there's a black market for stuff like this because, you know, you can see the world whatever way you want them. So some people want to see some crazy shit, you know. But it centers on a private detective who mostly kind of just like has people's partners coming to them, wanting to know what veil their partners are looking through, essentially, you know. So he's on a job where he's been hired by a very rich woman to chase her husband and find out what kind of veil he is getting, because he's going kind of black market, you know. But she chooses not to use a veil, and nor does the lead character. He also doesn't use veils, and that's called clear, seeing the word clear. His house his home is very kind of like antique, full of stuff of like our era or, you know, previous eras and stuff. So yeah, he's running clear. He doesn't see any. He doesn't look through the world in any veil. It's also kind of affected the architecture. So, because building, like, no one really looks at the world anymore. They're all seeing it through some virtual reality lens type of thing, filtered lens. Architecture has become like, just like, you know, a building will be a grey slab. A table will be just like, everything's functional. So, kind of like, it can be mapped on, essentially.
Overmapped.
Yeah.
Kind of like, what's the VR place?
Zero latency, is it?
Yeah. Where, they build a vague set and you wear your VR shit, so there's actually solid stuff on the other end of
yes, exactly. So kind of like
hitting things.
So yeah, so like kind of chairs, tables, things like that, like have all become like very redundant in their design, and everything's purely functional. So like kind of because no one's actually looking at the world real, you know. So it's affected it in like that. But our main character still likes the old stuff, and then he is after kind of he's casing a fella, and after it goes wrong, he gets into an altercation, and then he meets up with a police friend of his who brings him to identify a body, which is his ex-wife, they haven't spoken in years. And then at the end of it, he gets something from his kind of post-mortem from his ex-wife saying that she's been murdered. But it's a cool concept because he gets injected at one stage with something that kind of basically makes him like, I think it kind of like only lasts for so long, but like during a chase scene, he's seeing the world through all these different veils. So 1 second, you know, he could be like his motorbike is a horse, or it's whatever, and he's instead of chasing a car, he's chasing a carriage and all that kind of stuff. But it's a cool concept. I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes.
So how many issues out?
Just one issue.
Just one.
Yeah, they're releasing it. Like I know there's a whole argument between digital and traditional comics and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like choose to read in whatever format you want, but I think it's cool that because Scott Snyder's doing a few books on Comixology. He has another book I started to read, like another single issue, the Night of the Ghoul, which is a father and son kind of finding this remote old folks home and talking to a director of an old movie that was kind of destroyed, you know. But it's cool. I think it's interesting to see big creatives going onto stuff like Comixology, and because it's obviously it's more sustainable in terms of like environment and production and costs and stuff. And you hope if you're paying X amount for a book that it means that writers and artists can get more of a chunk of that as opposed to stuff going to printers and distributors, you know.
Yeah, I guess the interesting thing there is the creator owned stuff, you know, like we've seen a number of artists make the move that like there's a weird thing around artist credit in comic books where like they really do not get as much attention, or at least recognition as being a creative driving force in the book as the writer does. And like, not to take away from the writer, but you know, there's so much of what you're experiencing is visual, you know, visual, and you know, like that was always Steve Ditko's argument, you know, and even Bill Finger, you know, like Bob Kane or Stan Lee went Spider-Man, Batman, you know, it's a guy who's got spider powers or a guy who's got bat powers, and then some artist went away and drew a red and blue suit with webs on it and web shooters, and you know, or in the case of Bill Finger, he decided, you know, he'll live in a cave and he'll have a cowl and he'll have a friend called Robin and he'll have a car called a Batmobile, and you know, but it's, you know, the recognition. So I am seeing a number of artists over the last few years who are, well, I mean, I guess ever since Image really kind of
I was going to say
made this thing happen, go you know, we want a bit of the credit too, and the creator-owned thing as well is like the amount of artists that got screwed over historically, or writers that got screwed over historically by doing sort of work for hire contracts for companies that now make billions off of a property. Robert Kirkman's a great example of somebody who's turned being a writer of a comic book into being, you know, a producer or a mogul, or a guy who's creating a universe around it. Yeah. But, you know, there's an element of like, it's the writer mantle that makes these guys have as much clout.
I think it's like, I know what you're saying. Like, I think
kind of talking shit there.
We've gone through the age of artists as well, you know, where artists were getting all the kind of the clout for books and stuff, and now it's the writer's age. But I think we'll come around again. Artists will be the forefront of these things. You know, these guys, artists have more followers on Instagram than, say, a writer would, and all that kind of stuff. Artists have a bit more, I think, leeway in terms of influence, whether or not people will buy books, than writers. Do you know?
I do.
Anyways, yeah, so Comixology, clear. It's a cool concept. I like the idea. It kind of just it opens up that book to just be like wherever they want, whenever they want, and they can be as ridiculous with it as they want to be as well. Because like it's not just like kind of say live in different periods of time. My impression of it is like you can basically see the world any way you want, you know, which obviously could lend to some horrific problems. But yeah, it's a cool concept. I like it. Looking forward to the next one. But
I haven't read a comic in a few months at this point. I'm starting to get itchy about it. Like, I saw you put a picture of some of the stuff you bought, and you've got the like Batman 89
that's
book
for my
you picked
friend.
Up for somebody. Yeah, but like I keep seeing the guy drawing that as well on Instagram, and I'm like, fuck, I really do want to read that book.
Is that Torres? Is it Torres?
I think so.
Yeah, his stuff is brilliant.
There's some lovely art being done there.
Yeah, the covers are great.
I do remember somebody did a sort of an 89 pitch a while back as well. I remember it was at some talk, and somebody like threw up a like concept image, like, this is the thing we pitched, but it didn't get picked up.
Oh, that's annoying.
And I guess time told on it, and someone else took a better angle on it, and
because
or a more favourable angle, and they've done it. They did it with Superman as well, right?
79, yeah, or 78, whatever it is. Yeah, did it?
I don't know which year.
Because they have what's the guy's name? I want to say Billy. He's playing a joke, or he's playing Two-Face in this. He's a tree.
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams, isn't it? Yeah. Was he cast? Was he cast as a Joker or something?
Was it Billy D. Williams?
Yep.
It was, wasn't it?
He was Harvey Dent.
He was cast as Harvey Dent, and he was... there was a definite... The plan long term was, you're going to be Two-Face, but it just didn't happen. They bring people into movies with that sort of...
Oh yeah, of course, sure. Robin in the last Christopher Nolan one, you know. But I like the way they've kind of elaborated on that more, because I've seen some of the drawings of him as Two-Face, and it's cool.
Yeah, no, I mean there's great actors that were involved with these projects that were just slightly the wrong side of all of the visual effects and the political will to make these things decent, you know? All right, let's get into the meat of what this is about. We watched Malignant, and we watched Climax.
Unfortunately.
This is the spooky season content that you've come for. Which one do you guys want to talk about first? Should we talk about Climax first?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's talk about Climax first, and we'll save Malignant for the end. So, for the listener, I don't think of it as a particularly mainstream film. It was definitely promoted at the time, and it was one of like these festival pieces anyway. And Gaspar Noé is definitely on the sort of like art house end of filmmaking. It is 2018. Co-production between France and Belgium, according to Wikipedia, which I have here in front of me. It's based on a news article around a dance rehearsal where someone spiked, I don't know, water or drink or whatever with acid, and they took that concept and filmed a movie around it. And it's after a dance rehearsal, a troupe is having a sort of after party. They're drinking what they believe to be perfectly normal sangria. Then they realize they've all been dosed, and then they slowly start tearing each other apart over the subsequent, I don't know, hour, I guess. It's 90 minutes. It's pretty consumable. It's not 2 hours of it. I liked it. Like, as much as I can like a horror movie, or it's kind of hard to call it a horror movie as well at the same time, but I think I felt safer watching it because I knew all of the stakes. When we were watching Hereditary or Suspiria, I didn't know what the fuck had happened at any given time. With this, I knew, oh, they've been drugged. This is going to be shitty, but I know that, like, anything that's going to happen to them is going to happen within the confines of, like, what people can do to each other in an enclosed space.
Oh, no, that's way scarier. It's way scarier. I'd much rather watch, like, spooky coven of witches do stuff and kind of heads explode than very bloody fucking real, like, scenario of being locked inside a place and unwillingly spiked with some fucking hallucinogenic, I think it's LSD or something, and collectively losing your fucking mind. It's horrendous.
It is. It's really an upsetting film to watch. Did you guys love it? Were you as, like, smiling through it as I was?
No.
No?
I can't say I didn't.
Kevin, did you like it?
I'm not going to say I disliked it, but it's fucking brutal. It's pretty hard to watch. It's pretty wild. Jesus, awful. It was interesting, but it was pretty horrendous.
Brian?
It's an experience. I liked it.
You're all messed up.
I don't think
the
it's a horror
opening
film,
sequence is a sort of 3 to 5 minute choreographed dance number that really is, like, I mean, how did you feel about that, Kev? That opening sequence was pretty cool. Like, even just forget the horror end of it, even just like watching a dance number going, this is awesome.
Yeah, I'm not. Maybe I'm not the, like, it's like kind of, I don't understand choreographed dance pieces and stuff. I do and I don't. But I think like I can be impressed by the amount of work in it and the people doing it, because I certainly couldn't do it. I know that, But it's just kind of like golf. It's like, maybe I don't have so much of an interest in it, some dancing I like kind of, I'm really impressed by, like, kind of kind of bigger showy stuff like backflips and breakdancing and stuff, than I am just a group choreograph like this. I grew up watching Fame,
There's loads of big group dance numbers in Fame. Were you watching the TV show on RTE on Saturdays?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Fame, I want to live forever. I want to learn how to fly.
And then it would be on RTE like every day during the summer.
Yeah.
I used to watch that.
But
the bowl of Cocoa Pops at lunchtime.
But I'm saying, maybe I'm just desensitized towards it.
You want fame? Well, fame costs. And here's where you start paying.
Damn.
Sweat.
Blood, sweat, and tears. But cool, like, look, like, kind of like, there's aspects of it I really liked. There's aspects of it that were really hard to watch. There's aspects of it that I didn't like. But it's a cool premise and stuff, for sure. Like, a wild premise,
Well, to a degree, it happened, didn't it?
No, I don't think it ever happened.
Okay.
I mean, some of it happened.
What do you mean?
It's loosely based on a thing that happened.
Oh, I thought that was just an urban myth.
No, apparently it happened.
A bunch of dancers were locked inside a room and were spiked at LSD by mistake. Not by mistake, but
not so much that part, but they ended up locked outside a building, I think, and froze to death.
Locked outside a building.
Yeah.
Bunch of dancers.
I'm not sure how many, but yeah.
Oh wow, okay, I don't know anything about that.
Would you think of it as a horror film, Kev?
Nah. More a cerebral mindfuck. But not so horror-y, because, like, it's kind of like, I guess it's kind of, I suppose it kind of is true what Aidan is saying, like, you do know kind of the limitations of it, in sense of, like, it's a bunch of people having this massive hallucination type of thing, locked in a room during a snowstorm, essentially. But there's no point where I was scared, but there was lots of moments where I was uncomfortable. But that's a different thing.
But were you not like? There's a couple of moments in it where the hysteria sort of coalesces into a group of them aggressively directed at one person. You know,
Yes.
Was that not terrifying to you?
I mean,
I was really scared for everyone in that situation.
It's scary in a real world sense of how human psyche can fall to shambles, you know, and how like kind of it's almost like that. Like, yeah, they were just basically hype up on each other at that moment. Like, you know, it's just like fucking you do a load of drugs like that or LSD like that. I can imagine these scenarios playing out.
It was interesting. Like, I'm curious in what order they made things, because they do talk about this film.
It was shot in sequence
chronologically, right? Yeah. But it opens with talking head interviews with the characters. So did they sit down and interview these characters? And they talk about how free form it was, that it wasn't necessarily given script. There's a lot of improvisation. So I'd love to know if they sat a bunch of actors down one by one and like said, okay, you're this person, you're this dancer, answer these questions. And, you know, the guy that like talks about the fight he got into and he's actually violent, like, is that coming from him? Because that then becomes a present threat with him as he
it must do, because
unspools, is that he has this predilection for violence.
It was a 5-page script, so there must have been a little bit of, you know,
a lot of it,
but a lot of improv and stuff. But like scenes took like 4 or 5 hours of rehearsal and then like 13 or 14 takes and stuff. So as much as the script was fairly small, it wasn't like kind of it was perfect improv and you could do what they want. They had to kind of be ready to go, and then it was take after take after take until they got the right take.
Mm-hmm. But there's so much. I'm wondering about the character development. You know, like if there's just that little bit of script and they know that this room's got to go nuts, like
I think
they've somebody who's particularly sexually aggressive. There's somebody who's, you know, averse to drugs but has a lot of drug experience, and then that if you do all of those interviews first and you develop your characters based on these conversations you have, and like it's kind of the stuff that like as you're improvising it you're kind of going, oh, okay, that's going to play into who I am as I go into the scenes. And then those scenes then take place with the foundation of what you discussed in those interviews, because they then have a series of like 2 people conversations while they're having the party, and one of them at the very least just gets, you know, just it's all sexual content, and that makes anything that happens, like I was really worried for anybody that they spoke about once the party kicks off, because I was just like, this could turn sexually aggressive.
Okay, when you talk about horror and fear, absolutely, like in those things I was like really scared. Concerned.
I mean, when they put the kid in the electrical room.
Oh man, I guess it is scary in that sense. But I was more concerned for people, you know, as opposed to like, scared what's gonna happen next. It was like, oh god, like Jesus, it's brutal. Yeah, the kid, the poor child, my god. Like kind of, I don't want. This is gonna be spoiler. So we are gonna spoil stuff. I want to talk about the ending, but if you're not quite finished elaborating on the movie, that's fine.
No, talk about the ending. Let's go.
It's just kind of like obviously, you know, each character kind of goes through an arc to a degree, but or like kind of like some people was just like they were lucky. They pretty much just hid in the bedroom and cried the whole time, and it's just like you're one of the lucky ones, you know. You can walk away from that being like, that was pretty awful, but like, God, I didn't do anything, or it didn't happen to me, you know. But the woman and her child must have been horrific, but she killed herself. That's my impression was. She killed herself.
The kid died, right?
I figured the kid died.
Because I think there was no, like, I was thinking about that going, was that just suggested? Was that vague? But like they showed like the lights shorting out in the actual ballroom, and somebody's like, oh, Tito's fried himself. Like nobody goes and checks on the kid.
Yeah.
because they've accidentally locked him in that room near a fucking fuse box. But like that's their way of letting us know, shit, this kid fucked with the electricity
and died.
Ugh.
And then the mother couldn't get him out, and she slit her wrists. The one fella died in the snow after getting locked out. I mean, if you're going to die, that'd probably be pretty awful as well. But
The girl whose head caught fire?
she was alive. Yeah, she lived.
Yeah, but... Oh,
I know, yeah. Yeah, awful. Then, what else happened? The brother and sister hooked up.
That was weird.
Wild.
That was weird.
And then at the end of it, it was just like, oh, don't tell Dad. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
Didn't feel like the sister was into it.
No, not at all. I don't think anybody was into anything that happened that night.
I think everybody was having a bad time.
Yeah.
That was my take. Hot take, but I think they had a bad time.
Because even the other girl, the girl who...
The first night the clubs are open again in Dublin and it all went wrong.
Imagine all the hangovers and the fear people have now. God almighty, I'm not jealous. I'm not envious of them.
Oh, now we're just real talk.
No.
It's like, yeah, probably. Everybody's got COVID today.
Yeah, everybody woke up with COVID. Yeah, but I was going to say... yeah, like that was horrendous. The guy who got beaten, like how he survived that, fair play to him. I don't know. He got some fucking whooping.
Was he alive at the end? Like it was like he was just lying on the ground, eyes closed. I don't know if he was dead or alive. There was one guy they showed lying there, and his eyes were wide open. So I'm like, okay, he's definitely dead.
Yeah, it was. I think there was puke and stuff around him. He's definitely dead. The kind of, I'm not gonna say, like, I suppose they're all off her head, but like even like that one girl, he pulled the other girl into the room and then kind of like, you know, locked the door because the guy was outside and stuff like. But that's kind of messed up as well. Yeah, brutal movie. And then like kind of the reveal at the end, kind of who obviously drugged them.
That's the reveal, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, because she said I have a flatmate who was like dropping acid droplets into his eyes, and I don't talk to him anymore, and I wanted to move to Berlin, away from Berlin because it's so druggy and it's crazy and it's blah blah blah. And she obviously.
But once you see that, I'd be curious to go back and watch her in the background. Because there's one moment where she's up behind the DJ table and she's kind of like surveying what she's done now that we have the context for it. She's like arms up watching it.
She pretty much just does that the entire movie. She is pretty much just...
Did you hate her the moment you saw her?
Yes.
Because I hated her the moment I saw her. Even in the little interviews, I was like, I don't like this person.
Yeah, I did, 100%. And I kind of clocked that she was weird. And then we were doing the big dance thing and she was just in bikini. It was also strange. But so that girl, she pretty much just is in the entire movie in background shots, just arms up, kind of dancing and stuff. So when the police walk into the end and she's still doing that, like she's used to this, you know.
And especially the way that shot was upside down, and she's got this like snaky, like hanging from the ceiling thing happening. It was really creepy. And the dog wouldn't stop barking. Like Brian's completely, I don't know. We're just, I don't know, relating this to each other, seeing if we experience the same way. Brian's seen it before and he's just watching us react to it. Have you any, can you give us some of your thoughts or input on any moments, things you liked, things you didn't like?
Oh God. Well,
like what were your reaction to?
I didn't like any of it. Sorry. Go on, Brian.
I liked it. I mean, the whole thing overall, like, not as upsetting as 9 minutes of Irreversible, you know. That's
I discount that film as existing. I don't want to watch that shit.
Yeah, like I'm not saying I was fine throughout the whole thing, but when I heard the initial premise, I was expecting something much more extreme, given what the director's done previously.
Yeah.
Given that and Into the Void.
Yes, I'm happy it wasn't
Into the Void or Into the Void?
Into the Void. I think it's Into the Void. I'm
Into the
happy.
Void, is it?
I'm happy it wasn't. Like, don't get me wrong. It was fucking gross and horrific and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm happy it didn't kind of go a little bit more.
It's not as sensational
Yeah.
as it's not as sensational as his previous stuff.
Yeah, I'm
not
happy-
that, I mean, like I said, there's still upsetting stuff happens in it,
Yes,
but it's
of course. But I'm just happy
it's
we didn't
depicted
see.
yeah, I think it's depicted with a bit more restraint. It's depicted with a bit more restraint than his previous stuff, I think.
Right.
So
Are there any? So what are your like highlight moments? Like, are there things that impressed you? Things that particularly repulsed you? Like,
just visually, like the dance routines, there's an energy to the whole thing that was just, I won't say entertaining, but engaging, which is always good. Yeah, just I suppose the technicality of it is impressive. How the whole thing is conceptualized and then the execution of it. I was just kind of engaged the whole time.
Yeah.
And like I did feel tense in moments where I was supposed to feel tense and everything like that, but I still wouldn't think of it as a horror. It's more of a kind of a psychological sensory assault as opposed to a horror, I think. It's more like watching it's more like a disaster picture, where one accident happens and there's a series of catastrophes afterwards. So there's the horror inherent in seeing something like that, but it's more of a disaster than a horror, I felt.
It's interesting that you talk about it not going as extreme as I guess maybe you thought it could, and I'm thinking about like.
Or maybe I'm just numb from seeing his previous work.
Yeah, but there's a degree of, I think if you're going to do something, and I mean, I guess we talked about it with Rust as well. When you want to go big with something, it requires a lot of planning, forethought, and consideration. And the fact that this was such a short production schedule and so live and organic, I don't think he necessarily had the room to do something entirely ludicrous. He had to work with a little bit of more realistic frame or moderated frame of possibility in front of it, even down to the fact that 99% of those people were just dancers that had never acted before, like they there was only so much he could ask of people in there, like asking people to do aggressive sexual acts on camera who had never acted before. That's a lot to ask an amateur,
Is it easier to ask an amateur to do that? Is it like, but I mean, it'd be exploitative, but I'd imagine there are scenarios where it's easier to get somebody who's less experienced of what is
Because
appropriate and not appropriate. Yeah.
Because somebody who knows better might say, fuck no, get me, this set needs an intimacy coordinator to begin with.
Yeah.
And I need the intimacy coordinators are making a big difference on film sets now. People
have
talk
you seen Love?
Glowingly about them. I have not. I think
was
there's even
before this, I think. And it was kind of notable for the way it depicted kind of sex scenes and stuff.
that Gaspar Noes as
that
well?
was him as well, yeah. But it was like when I heard the initial premise of that film, I again expected it to be quite extreme, but I was surprised that it's quite muted from what I remember of it anyway. Shot very kind of realist because I mean it's not simulated from what I gather. So given that he had worked doing that with people who, again, I'm sure some of them are actors. I haven't seen a lot of them in other stuff, but maybe less experienced actors. I guess I had maybe an expectation that it would be a bit more, not graphic, but again, like he's shot scenes of unsimulated things, but maybe it would be too risky then to do that in a. It's one thing to do it when it's tasteful or intimate, kind of loving. It's another then to do it when it's more coming from like an assault or something like that. It's just not sensible, first of all, I guess, to shoot something like that. Just asking for trouble.
Yeah. So I guess that's why we sort of say that, like, when you hear the description of what this could be,
Yeah.
you picture, fucking pretty elaborate,
Yeah.
chaos. But it like there was a thing of like they kind of realized they'd been spiked and had a sort of natural like, oh shit, like I don't know, like I've never done any sort of hallucinogenic, and I'm sure there's a degree to which your sense of control goes out the fucking window entirely. But I don't know. When I've been drunk, I know I've been, I don't know, cognizant enough to go, oh, I need to shut up and sit down. You know what I mean? There's different reactions in that scenario where like Selva is very much like, oh, this is fucking sucks. I need, like she's constantly like, the set is almost like a U from the dance hall out into the sort of lobby to the kitchen, back out to the dorm rooms, and she's just swinging back and forth, and the camera follows her or follows her and changes to a new person. But like, it's interesting to me the people that like are trying to get isolation and disconnect and realize what's going on, and then the people that are just lost to it.
I'm surprised that a bunch of people working that closely with one another would want to go to an after party with one another still. I'd want to get away from that. Given that there's no kind of outsiders of the troupe there,
Yes,
you'd want a few outsiders.
Yeah, that's you wouldn't mind going to an after party for sure, because it's like you get to mix with your friends and family and your colleagues that you like,
Yeah.
But a room
And
just
given that the after party probably is not a whole lot different from what they were doing while working. Anyway.
Yeah. I was thinking that as well when they're like in a circle watching people dance, and I'm going, did you not just spend the entire day doing this?
But I was,
the 3 days spent dancing.
I was watching it, kind of just thinking like, oh my god, anybody who's off out of their mind is like, just keep dancing, don't get involved in people's shit, just keep dancing.
That's
that one guy who was like all twisty and like contorting and stuff, it's just like, you just keep freaking out, you just keep doing you, buddy.
No, because definitely towards the end, as it was getting like where he was like, he would hit the end of his joint.
Yeah.
And he was just like, and now I'm going to move. Like he kept wrenching his shoulder further and further and further, and you're hearing the cracking, and it's like, oh my god, he's body popping himself into fucking new angles. It was that's the most upsetting. Look, everything else that happened in it, that's the thing I went, oh god, stop, while I was watching it.
Yeah. Well, he's just don't dance as hard as
wrenching
him.
his.
So you're okay with incest?
My search history would attest to it.
Step siblings, it's different.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry, yeah. What is that fucking deal with the world?
What is that about? It's rampant. I'm going to have to leave in a bit, so I can stay for another 20, 25 minutes. So
that's all we need. I do want to just button this conversation with, I suggested this because we watched Suspiria, which centers around a dance troupe. How do you, like, see, now, Kevin, you watched Suspiria and you're like, I hate it. How does this stack up next to it? Like, which would you watch again?
I think people might find the climax less ridiculous. Kind of like, climax gave me like Chuck Palahniuk vibes. Haunted vibes.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else kind of knows what I mean by that, but it's just kind of like, it's just a whole thing of like, I feel like it's a book he would write, to a degree, or short story. But Suspiria is far more out there and bloody fucking mental. Which one of them would I recommend over the other? It's a really hard question. I think people would be angry at me for suggesting Suspiria, but I don't know if I'd want people to watch Climax.
So you were saying you think Suspiria's more palatable to an audience than Climax? Is that where kind of what I'm getting?
Well, I think Climax is like scary in the sense it's real, you know, and it's jarring, and it's kind of it makes you feel really uncomfortable, and it's very cerebral. Whereas Suspiria is just kind of ridiculous in comparison, because you know, it's a coven of witches and the different things. I probably would recommend Climax more, but I'm not going to recommend it to anybody.
What are you afraid that would happen?
Pardon?
What are you afraid that would happen?
If I recommend the Climax to somebody?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think it deals with some hard topics and some hard imagery.
People should see that.
Yeah.
I think they get out of their fucking box of cotton wool.
Yeah, no. Stay in your comfort zone, folks.
Feel
Life
something.
is hard enough. Doom scroll online. Watch Pixar movies.
Maybe it would give you more of an appreciation for your life if you watch something like Climax.
Because
confronting yourself
this...
with horror.
Show it to kids, so
horrors of reality.
Show it to kids so they don't become dancers and they don't get involved in drugs.
Suspiria is very fantasy, and Climax is very brutality of humanity unleashed kind of thing. You know, like there's something to seeing like this is what people can become with very little pushing.
They should show it to kids in transition year to keep them off drugs.
I think they should show it to kids prepping for confirmation.
So, Malignant.
Baptisms.
Baptisms.
Shut up, baptism.
Okay, Brian, yay or nay?
I like it. I mean, like, look, it's just a very unique film experience. And, you know, whether it upsets you or not, it's well crafted, and I can get people not enjoying watching it or something, but I'd still recommend watching it.
I enjoyed it.
It's different.
It's better than Suspiria. Okay, I will say it's better than Suspiria.
You see, I like Suspiria too. I'd recommend both basically because
Suspiria and Hereditary, I had a terrible time watching it and thought they were great. This I enjoyed watching, and I think
I look forward to the American remake. Put it that way.
Okay, it's called Step Up 2.
Step harder.
It's called In the Heights.
Oh God, I like Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I tried to watch that thing 3 times and I couldn't get through it.
Aidan, what do you think? Yay or nay?
I'm a yay on this, which brings us to our nay of the day.
Big nay.
Big
nay.
Kevin's suggestion.
Kevin's
Kevin advocated hard for this one.
I only suggested it because it's new.
We watched *Malignant* from director James Wan, which is a 2020.
I never want to hear you recommend something again or suggest something.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Unless you're vouching for it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because when you said this, I assumed it was based on something good you heard about it, or maybe you'd seen it.
No, I didn't hear anything. I heard it was scary, but
Christ, it's atrocious.
It's definitely the worst movie we've watched this season. Halloween season.
This is your Speed Racer.
I know.
Live with this.
No.
Yeah.
No, this is your Speed
Racer.
Racer.
No, it's not. That's not fair because I didn't recommend watching it in the sense that I thought it was good. You think Speed Racer is good and it's crap.
I thought you did. I thought you were recommending it in that sense.
Sure, couldn't even say the word last week's episode.
You should have clarified.
Brian made a great point. We talked briefly about this a little bit during the week. This thing had 4 times the budget of Hereditary. So let me just give you a
synopsis.
I guess a synopsis.
Or do you want Brian to explain it in case he didn't understand it?
It had almost 13 times the budget of Climax. Let's put it that way.
Madison, a young woman, is terrified by the visions of the murders of strangers. Later, Madison decides to find and save the victims. Somebody is killing people. This person, Madison, sees the murders in these visions. There's a monster that is being studied in the opening sequence, and we find out over the course of the movie that Madison has a parasitic twin, and after her husband hits her it awakens this twin.
'Cause-
So she's not experiencing visions. She's just like in a locked in state while her body is taken over by Gabriel, the alternate twin, who goes about killing people.
So she had this parasitic twin.
There's a weird fetishization of VHS tapes and VCR players. Like the director's like giving us like internal working shots of VCRs. The killer starts killing the medical team that removed him when he was a more substantial parasitic
Removed
twin.
him and stuffed him into her brain.
They removed all of the limbs and corporeal stuff that was connected to her back, but left the face and consciousness in her brain, stuffed it into her skull, and they put a plate over the skull.
Yeah.
So when the husband hit her, he broke the skull open and released the face to be... But also it drinks electricity, communicates through radio waves, and can climb walls like Spider-Man and lift trucks. And this is the thing I really saw it and
I
laughed.
can fight like crazy. Ninjas.
It goes to kill the doctors that operated on it in the 90s. And the first doctor it goes to, it kills with her Excellence in Surgery trophy that she has sitting on her shelf.
God.
Like a fucking karate trophy. She's got a bunch of them as well, so we know she's a great surgeon.
Not good enough.
And it turns this pointy trophy into a fucking knife that he then uses as his, like, Freddy Krueger claws. This is his thing, I guess. It wasn't scary. It wasn't a good action movie.
Acting was horrendous.
The acting is appalling.
Appalling.
Like,
That lead
not
actress
even in a-
is horrendous. The lead actor is horrendous.
just
I'm sorry, guys.
there's plenty. It's not fun roasting you if you say sorry.
I'm really sorry. I had
Annabelle
to apologize
Wallace.
to Emer as well last night.
She's in Peaky Blinders. She's in The Tudors. She's in Supernatural. Maybe a good actor, but in this, no.
This is kind of what struck me about it is I was trying to break down like what's not working, like why is it so flat, why is it kind of hollow. And one of the things that struck me is, like, you know, Peter Jackson and Sam Raimi have successfully blended action and horror, and they both have like very kinetic camera work, and they've utilized that to really great effect in films that also have scary moments. So I think I don't think it's even too broad to say that like any film that features excessive or explicit or graphic violence in some way, if it's a regular occurrence in a film, that film either falls into action or horror. And if it's not atmospheric or spooky or scary, then it's by default an action film. And this is shot like an action film, just in terms of technical kind of camera work, but without any of the stakes or any of the kind of tension building or any of that. It feels like a stunt reel.
Well, I think Emer hit the nail on the head last night. She said it's literally something from the 2000s. Early 2000s. It's like how 2021 you watch it, like, oh man, it's like a horror action that was so prominent in like 2005, 2006, or even earlier, probably that kind of.
It was all Michael Bay produced stuff.
Oh man, awful.
For a while, his production company was turning out
What were they
loads
called?
of horror stuff. Platinum Dunes or something
Okay,
like that. I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. And they produced a lot of horror stuff, and it's just, yeah. So like it's got the kind of visual language or vocabulary of an action film, and then it's changing to, or it's at least attempting horror. Then while it doesn't change language. So like it shoots the scenes the same way, and a scene that's supposed to be scary, it shoots it like
This is
an action set piece.
This
and
is the
it's,
guy who directed Aquaman, right?
Mhm,
Should have known better. And but like that scene where it's just CGI of this character jumping and then like fighting and killing people. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like that's like this. Like it looks like something from the 2000s. You know, early 2000s. It's nuts.
Every environment is too big as well. I noticed
house is massive.
Every room is too
house is
big.
huge except from the outside. It's like the TARDIS. You know?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Every room is large enough to fit.
It's
a
all
camera
to
crew at
facilitate
any
the
angle.
camera.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much.
exactly.
Yeah. The moment where we see the guy in his bedroom, like that fat older dude, like we see him standing by a window and we see into his wardrobe behind him, and his like it's a walk-in wardrobe, but it's a fucking room. It's enormous. We're seeing the corners of it off in the distance, and then when they go into it, it's a small wardrobe, the small walk-in wardrobe, and then when they come back out of it again, it's a fucking 50 feet of room, and then he walks over to his bedroom. Nothing felt like he lived there.
This is so shit.
It was.
How is this movie new and this year?
The prison cell that they have that fight in is just an empty 400 square foot. It's mental.
Yeah.
It's mental.
It's got two walls and, you know, a railing on one side. You know, it's just, it's bizarre. It's atrociously bad. Like it's, I can understand a younger audience liking
totally.
it because they haven't been exposed to, you know, more films and they might get a kick out of something like this. But it's
something you look back at when you're 20 and go, God, I can't believe I liked that when I was 10. You know what I mean?
What's kind of frustrating is that as bad as, you know, the premise is and all of that, it still would have been possible to make something entertaining or decent out of it. Because like when it started, I was like, okay, this looks really cheesy and bad. And then when it shows the kind of creature in the room, and then the doctor like says it's time to cut out the cancer, it's like, oh my God, this is bad, but maybe it'll be, you know, kind of distracting or just very silly. And then just immediately next scene then is really fucking serious, and it's the husband abusing his wife, and it's such a shift in tone.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to be watching this kind of like, you know, kind of schlocky creature feature, and all of a sudden it's this very serious domestic moment, but shot without any tension or drama, and just like the way he slams her head against the wall is like
horrendous.
Yeah, and it's the way like Neo gets fucking, or Morpheus gets thrown around the bathroom in the Matrix. It's shot like an action thing, and it's just like, this is not appropriate. And it's like, what's happening here? And then the next thing, it's kind of a slasher thing, and it's like, and that the cops pulling up outside, like just within 10 or 15 minutes, like the cops pulling up outside and just all these blue and red lights, and it's the busiest fucking scene ever, and it's just like, for what? Like, to what end is it?
Even if you think about the like, you know, like, because the way I watch it was just like, okay, like, kind of, is Juan kind of hoping to have his Freddy Krueger, and it's going to be Gabriel, and it's just like this backwards woman with a parasitic fetus on the back of her head.
The scenes then when like she's going on a rampage killing and her eyes are closed, it just looks so silly. Like, it's
awful, man. And
it's bad.
Just the weapon as well.
The first time we encounter the
having the skills.
The first time we encountered the monster.
Where did he get all the skills?
The first time we encountered the monster, when the husband is sort of walking around the house, the power goes down, and there's this black shadow that then disappears, and then she tries to run and heads to the front door, and it's clearly a humanoid shape, but it's moving weird and it's got fuzzy edges, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And then it's a person in a coat, and I'm like, wait, what the fuck happened?
Then it dresses
Why
up
did
like
it stop
a
being a
fucking,
scary thing?
It dresses up like a goth kid. Then, you know, it's like, I'm gonna wear this raggedy but really fitted coat.
Yeah, practical backwards facing, you know, for her their body. Mental. And the person who was up in the attic, was that the doctor for ages?
That's the mother.
That's her mother.
That's her actual mother. Yeah, even like,
and she fell 100 feet through the ceiling into the living room. That had a open plan quadruple height living room. Like,
Oh yeah, because that was the lady who was screaming at
Do
the
you remember
washing
she
machine.
fell through the roof?
Yeah, she fell through the.
It was 100 feet down to the
And she
living
fell
room.
through multiple floors.
Well, she didn't fall through multiple floors. That's what I'm saying. The height of that fucking living room ceiling was all the way to the... Like, it was huge.
Okay, I know what you're saying. Yeah. I assume she fell through multiple floors if she was in the attic and that was the ground floor. But yeah, absolutely ridiculous movie. Like I have nothing to say, guys. I'm really sorry. It's awful.
I mean, it's hard to roast you when you're just
The
apologetic.
acting is
Yeah,
awful.
No fun.
This was dog
it
shit.
was so highly produced. Like they obviously had a massive budget. The CGI stuff in it, horrendous.
Yeah, like
It's not massive, but it was a $40 million budget compared to what was done in Climax for 1.2 or something like that, and Hereditary for 10. Did you say,
10,
Brian?
yeah. Just out of curiosity, what was Suspiria? I mean, Suspiria wasn't.
Small.
No,
There's some big stuff going on in there, but like, he chases her through a fucking city, which is shot like a
20
fucking
million.
DSLR highlight reel.
Suspiria was 20.
That's insane.
They find a fog-lit stagecoach museum
Underground. Oh my god! Why was
In a
this movie a
basement?
thing? How did this happen? People should watch it for just watching nonsense, string together nonsense, and like the story is so convoluted, but it's like it moves constantly.
You
There's
completely disconnect from it, and you just go, "What the fuck am I
but it
watching?"
moves constantly. There's no suspense. It doesn't let you to think things or nothing like that. It's just kind of like it's just so shit.
There's no stakes.
Yeah.
There's no tension.
No.
There's no atmosphere.
It just plays out.
It's just hollow,
Yeah.
and it's crazy.
It's like sitting there just watching a roller coaster again and again and again. I was like, you just know where it's going. It's on course. It's on track. Oh god, it's awful. It was a wild.
And I can see a lot of Saw in there,
Yes.
but Saw had its moments.
Yeah, it's just, for sure. It's definitely the first Saw.
It's crazy that it's the same person.
There's
because
so much scary movie in it.
Yeah.
Like the blonde sister running around going, maybe he's got some sort of psychological connection with her, psychopathic or what's the word? Psychic connection with her. Maybe she imprinted on him. And then she goes and plays detective in the basement of the mental hospital, which is shot. There's a moment in it where they crib the scene from The Shining, where it pulls up from the car to look at the Overlook Hotel. It's like, fuck you, fucking cribbing Kubrick for this dog shit.
Stephen King praised the movie and said, "I watched *Malignant* on HBO and thought it was brilliant." And what Stephen King is,
Stephen King's a hack.
he's a hack. He's a hack.
He is a hack.
Stephen King didn't watch the movie on HBO. He put it on while he was writing about a spooky lamp.
Stephen King will give a fucking quote on anything by the sounds of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to run.
I know. I just want to pick the. I want to pick next week.
Okay.
I'm suggesting, like, I like this sort of. There's not a huge amount on our plate to watch. I do want to address. I got a message from somebody in the Instagram.
Watch Midnight Mass.
Oh, I have one episode left. Not into it. Too many monologues.
I want to suggest, because we're doing kind of a dual film thing here, because we don't have a huge amount. I know I should watch Midnight Mass. I will try and work that in this week as well. First thing I want to suggest is, I think my vote is Werewolves Within. All right, it's on YouTube for €3. It's comedy horror movie.
Okay.
Werewolves. Looks fun.
Hang on. Who's it by?
I don't know.
What do we know about it?
Let's do
Because
that.
I'm recommending stuff that I've either seen or know has pedigree. We can't just fucking pluck another Malignant, because I won't do it. Okay,
I'm not
gonna
plucking
do
another
it.
Malignant.
There's better stuff out there that we could watch.
But now I'm saying to you, suggest the better thing.
No more.
I'm
more
putting-
fucking.
Midnight Mass.
No more dance movies.
No.
It follows.
What's it?
It follows.
It follows?
Yeah,
Have we seen it?
I've seen it,
I've
but
seen
I'll
it.
watch it again.
It's good.
Okay.
You haven't
All right.
seen it, so
I haven't seen it. I'll watch it.
I'll watch
Werewolves Within.
Werewolves Within.
86% on Rotten Tomatoes. 6 out of 10 on...
no, hang on.
IMDb.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
I know. I know.
That
I'm
shit
just
doesn't
trying to
count.
find you information
And
beforehand.
did someone suggest something
Um,
on Instagram? Do we got a message on Instagram?
We got a message on Instagram, and I guess I just want to get a thought from you before we call it a night.
I just want to say that It Follows cost 1.3 million, and it'll be interesting for you to compare that to Malignant.
Yes.
So,
Because, my God, it's so much better.
Brilliant.
I've been thinking for ages. You've mentioned Irish content a few times before. Mm-hmm. Could you pick one Irish film, show, a week, a month, maybe?
No.
Would be great to share awareness of what's out there in Ireland.
I watched a Irish horror movie, and I want to say it's called The Hole, and it's good. So,
I mean, we could watch an episode of Fair City each week, or each month.
I know.
See where it lies.
That's a very flippant response to that person's commentating.
It is.
Yes, take it seriously, please.
So-
Hole in the Ground, 2019 horror movie. The Hole in the Ground. That is worth checking out. It's cool. I'd love to watch more horror or more Irish stuff. Absolutely.
I think we should definitely make an effort to do it. Deadly Cuts is out. That's a sort of Irish homegrown produced sort of comedy thing, which is getting decent reviews, but it is in a very sort of When Brendan Met Trudy kind of area of things, I think, if you all remember that film. Eruct is getting a release, which is pretty highly acclaimed as well, looking at lives of Irish people during the sort of famine and Irish Revolution stuff. I think it's in Irish. So that's on my to-watch list as well. Any thoughts on... Do we think we'd have enough Irish content to make it a quasi-regular feature?
Quasi-regular, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. There's an Irish zombie movie called The Cured. It looks like Elliot Page might be in it.
What?
Yeah.
Citadel.
I've seen.
What's the name of that action movie that somebody made decades ago?
Fatal Deviation.
Fatal Deviation. Should we watch?
No. Why would we watch something purposely bad? To be fair, that's ridiculous.
I don't think it was purposely.
No, but we know it's bad, so why would we watch something purposely that is bad?
Why would we watch something bad purposely? Well, we watched fucking Malignant.